morning everyone. So I'm back. I am Mambi at your service. So for our lesson today, we are going to discuss about permutation or combination problems. So this is our lesson for week 5, quarter 3. So after you learn the different formulas, so it's time for us to solve problems. So let us know the different objectives for this week. First, you're going to analyze problems involving permutation or combination. Second, you're going to value the importance of permutations or combinations in real-life situations. And third, you're going to apply the knowledge acquired in finding the number of permutations or combinations. So for the concepts to remember in order to solve problems about permutation or combination, we have as follows: permutation taken at all times, permutation taken or at a time, distinguishable permutation, circular permutation, combination taken at all times, combination taken or at a time, the difference between permutation and combination, and the FCP or the fundamental counting principle. So these are all the concepts you must remember in order to solve problems involving permutations and combinations. So let us have one example for each type. We have first, permutations taken all at a time. So example, how many permutations are in the word obesity? So we use the formula P of n comma n because it's taken all at a time. So the same, n comma n is equal to n factorial. So in our example, obesity is the one that we are going to permute. Therefore, n here is equal to 7. So there are 7 letters in the word obesity. Now, so we substitute that to n, so that becomes 7 factorial. Expanding, we have this 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is equal to 5040 ways. So the permutation of the word obesity is 5040 ways. Next, we will have permutations for the obesity. Yan. Konting trivia tayo bago tayo pumunta dun sa next example. So, I got this from your lesson in PE. Yan. So, I'm going to show you pictures. Yan. So, we have picture A, picture B. What is the difference of picture A and picture B? So, picture A is overweight, while picture B is obese. Yan. So, what's the difference between overweight and obese? Overweight versus obesity. So, overweight and obesity are not the same thing. Many overweight people who weigh about 10 to 20 pounds over the recommended weight are not obese. So, they are only overweight. Siguro isa ako doon. But both are used to identify people who are at risk for health problems from having too much body fat. However, the term obese generally means a much higher amount of body fat than overweight. So, mas mabigat ang obese sa overweight. So, do you want to be overweight or obese? Okay, did you know that research indicates that individuals who are 30 or more pounds overweight during middle age lost about 7 years of life, whereas being 10 to 20 pounds overweight decreases lifespan by about 30 years. So that means to say, if God planned you to be on earth, let's say 70 years old, but you are overweight, then you will lose 7 years. So, bali, 70 minus 7, 63 years old. Yan. Pero pag obese ka, 70, so bali ilan to? 10 to 20 pounds daw. So, 70 minus 10, 60. So, you will die earlier. But, when it comes to severe obesity, malala na to. You will be, ayan, you may cut up to 20 years of one's life. So, you will die at 50 years old kung ikaw ay nakatakda ng 70. So, in short, to avoid this thing as early as today while you are still young, you have to watch your weight. So, next, moving on. So, permutations taken are at a time. So, in example, in a group of 8 members, with how many ways could the president, treasurer, and secretary be chosen? So, this is are at a time because not all of them will be chosen, will become president, treasurer, and secretary. So, ito yung permutation taken are at a time. So, meaning, ilan lang. So, in this case, ang formula ang gagamitin natin ay P of n comma r is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial. So, our n is, of course, 8. And our r is 3. 3 because of 1 president, 2 treasurer, and 3 secretary. So, by substitution, we will have P of 8 comma 3. So, it becomes P of 8 comma 3. And substitute the formula, we have 8 factorial over 8 minus 3 factorial, which is equal to 8 factorial over 5 factorial. Expanding, we have this. Yan. And then the other one. So, pwede na tayo mag-cancel para mas madali. We cancel 2, cancel 3, cancel 4, cancel 5. So, multiply the remaining numbers. 8 times 7 times 6 is equal to 336 ways. Now, just in case that there are too many numbers, you need to expand all of this. So, later on, I'm going to show you a shorter way to apply cancellation. So, pwede pa rin naman siya i-cancel. Okay, moving on. Let's proceed to distinguishable permutation. So, example, how many permutations are in the word pituitary? So, kanina, ang ginamit nating word ay obesity. Compared to pituitary, notice that this is distinguishable because we can distinguish letters that are repeated. Diba? In the word pituitary, some letters are repeated. So, that is one way to determine whether a permutation or a problem is about distinguishable permutations. So, formula, P is equal to n factorial over P factorial Q factorial times R factorial. So, itong denominator, it depends how many letters are repeated. So, here our n is 9. So, there are 9 letters in pituitary. And then we get the repeated letters which are I. So, there are 2 I's. And also, there are 2 T's. So, we substitute it now. And then, expanding. Expanding. So, ano yung cancel natin? So, cancel yung 2 sa taas, 2 sa baba. O, pwede natin cancel yung 4 and 2. So, hindi sila pareho. Pero, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So, may matitirang 2 sa taas. So, ang natira na ay 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 2 is equal to 90,720. So, yun ay distinguishable. Next, yan. So, konting trivia ulit. So, pituitary. Diba? Pamilyar na kayo sa pituitary. So, sabi, it's one kind of hormones. So, the main hormones concerned with growth are pituitary growth hormone. So, meron din tayong tinatawag na thyroid hormone, sex hormone, testosterone, and estrogen, and the pituitary gonadotropic sex gland stimulating hormones. So, dun sa pituitary growth hormone, it has something to do with your height. Ayan. So, kaya nga siya tinawag ng growth hormone. So, siguro medyo pinalad ako na maganda aking pituitary glands, kaya medyo binigyan ako ng konting tangkad. So, siguro yung iba ay ibang ibinigay sa kanilang hormones. So, yan ay nakuha ko sa Science 9, Quarter 3 of Week 1 to 3. Moving on, circular permutation. So, pag sinabing circular, pag may nakita kayong keyword pertaining to circle, so something that is round, yan. So, pwede nyo gamitin tong formulang circle, itong apply circular permutation. So, example, in how many ways can 8 principals be seated in a round table? Yan, round. So, this connotes circular, something that is kapamilya ng circle. So, formula, you will use P is equal to n minus 1 factorial. So, ang n natin is 8. So, magiging 8 minus 1 equals 7. And 7 factorial is equal to 5,040 ways. Ito yata ang pinakamadali. Next, combination. So, last week, we discussed about combinations. So, taken all at a time. Example, simplify C of 25, 25. Ito yung same sila. So, taken all at a time yan. Ngayon, gamitin natin yung kanginang formula para makita ninyo yung difference mamaya. So, C of n comma r is equal to, ito yung kangina, diba? Oh, pero P lang siya, diba? Oh, nalimutan ko yung factorial dito. Oh, may factorial dyan, nalimutan ko lang. So, n is 25, r is 25. So, by substitution, 25 factorial over 25 minus 25. Nalimutan ko talaga. May factorial po ito, ha? That will become 25 factorial. O yan, lumitaw na siya. Yung 0 factorial. Kasi 25 minus 25 is 0. Ngayon, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. 25 is a large number. If you need to expand this, it will take you so long. So, ang pwede natin gawin, you see naman that we can cancel 25. Diba? 25 to 25. Diba? So, 25 by 25 is 1. And then, we know that the value of 0 factorial is equal to 1. So, anong natira? 1 divided by 1 is equal to 1. So, there is one way. So, in short, ang combination when taken all at a time is expressed in the formula C of n comma n is equal to 1. So, it's always equal to 1 as long as it's taken all at a time and as long as you see that the given values are the same. The answer is always equal to 1. Ngayon, kung merong coefficients before, halimbawa, meron ditong 5 na nasa unahan. 5C, let's say 5C, 25, 25. So, ang answer nyo is 5 times 1 is 5. So, ang equal lang to 1 ay itong value ng combination taken all at a time. Pero kung may number sa labas, multiply. Kung multiply yung process. Okay, next. Ito naman, combinations taken are at a time. So, hindi lahat. Example, in how many ways can you choose any 3 songs from the list of 10 songs? Oh, this is combination kasi the order is not important. You can choose any songs naman. There's no particular order or arrangement. Any song will do. So this is a combination problem. So we have C of n comma r is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial. Oh, nalimutan ko talaga. Okay, so we have 10 factorial over 10 minus 3 factorial times 3 factorial. So, binabalik ko naman siya. Okay, meron na. So, may factorial po ito. Ayan. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Pwede ba mag-cancel? Hindi na tayo mag-expand. So, tingnan nyo yung ginawa ko. Ayan, tingnan nyo yung ginawa ko. 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 factorial. So, nag-stop na ako ng 7 factorial. Why? Because the denominator has also 7 factorial. So, pwede ko siyang i-cancel, diba? Mamaya. And then, sa denominator, meron pa tayong 3 factorial. So, 7 factorial times 3 times 2 times 1. So, pwede natin cancel ang 7 factorial sa numerator and sa denominator. O, pwede natin cancel ang 8 at saka 2. So, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So, we can cancel 9 and 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. O, diba? Konti natin. So, ang natira lang ay 10 times 3 times 4 is 120 degrees. Okay. And then, yan. So, para ma-solve nyo yung problems mabuti, kailangan you must know the difference between permutation and combination. So, again, pag sinabi ng permutation, yan, the order matters. While combination, the order does not matter. Ito yung mga formulang gagamitin. Ito yung mga different ways to represent. Pwede siyang NPR, or written like this, or like this one. Yan. So, marami. Depende sa makita nyo sa iba't ibang box na na-open ninyo or na-research ninyo, makikita nyo iba't iba pala ng representation. And then, remember the clue words. Pag permutation, it deals with arrangement, schedule, and order. Pag sinabing combination, it deals with group, sample, and selection. Okay, so example natin. Selecting 3 posters to hang out of 6 different posters. So, nagse-select lang naman tayo ng posters. So, the order is not important. So, it's combination. Next, entering the PIN or the personal identification number of your ATM card. So, this is very sensitive kasi you cannot do any transaction if your PIN is incorrect. So, the order matters and important. So, this is permutation. Next, choosing 4 songs to sing for the day. And choosing. So, you just choose a song. Is the order important? Wala namang ruling kung anong unang dapat kantahin, ano yung pangalawa. So, this is a combination problem. Yan. So, ito yung mga different ways to determine whether a problem is permutation or combination. So, yung mga keywords, tandaan ninyo yung mga selecting, entering, choosing, arranging, listing, etc. Okay. Next, ito. So, yung fundamental counting principle that we discussed before, this will also be applied in solving permutation and combination problem. Yan. For example, how many letters are in the English alphabet? There are 26 letters. So, yung mga tanong na ilang letters ang gagamitin, uulitin ba yung letters o hindi uulitin ang letters? Ayan. Yung mga ganong type of questions, you can use fundamental counting principle. Okay, so suppose I will use 3 letters where repetition is allowed. So, how will I represent it? Yan. So, 3 letters daw ang kailangan. Repetition is allowed. So, kung 26 ang letters natin, Dun sa first letter ba, ay magagamit ko yung 26 letters. Yes, I can use the 26 letters. So, lahat ng letters ay pwedeng mag-appear sa first letter. Ngayon, para sa second letter, pwede ko ulit bang gamitin yung 26 letters? Ang sabi, repetition is allowed. Siyempre, yes. Kasi repetition is allowed. So, para sa second letter, 26 pa rin ang ating magagamit. Para sa third letter, 26 pa rin ba? Yes. So, 26 pa rin kasi repetition is allowed. So, kung tinatanong yung number of ways, para makuha ko yun, I will just multiply 26 times 26 times 26 equal to 17,576 ways. Yun. Ganun lang po siya kasimple. Next, paano kung repetition is not allowed? So, how will I represent it? Yan. So, ito pa rin ha, 26 letters pa rin. So, tatlong letters ang hahanapin natin. So, para sa first letter, kung 26 yun, magagamit ko ba lahat? Yes, of course. So, magagamit mo lahat yung 26 letters. Para sa second letter, ang sabi dito, repetition is not allowed. Nagamit ko na yung lahat ng 26. Hindi pwedeng ulitin. So, ano ba, nagamit ko na yung A. Magagamit ko ba yung A sa susunod? Hindi na, kasi nagamit ko na siya sa first letter. Kaya babawasan natin ng isa. So, magiging 25 na. So, yun ang magiging second letter. So, 25 letters na lang ang pwede kong gamitin sa second letter. Next, sa third letter, nagamit ko na ang A. Nagamit ko na yung B. Pwede ko pa bang gamitin siya sa third letter? So, hindi na. Kasi nga, not allowed. So, in short, 25 minus 1, 24 na lang. So, this will be the third letter. Yun po ang kaibahan. Pag may nakikita kayong question about repetition is allowed, repetition is not allowed, ganun lang po ang gagawin natin. So, multiplying this, kung ang tinatanong ay number of ways, so we'll have the answer 15,600. Okay, so from these different concepts to remember, I guess you can now we can now proceed with problems involving permutation or combination. Okay, let us see.